Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. But now I would like to go to a very interesting piece of news that I received from Mr. Brown, actually. He could not make it, but he did send me a very, very interesting piece of news about Marcia Lucas. Now, for those of you who don't know, Marcia Lucas was married to George Lucas and was the editor of Star Wars and also an accomplished editor in her own right for Taxi Driver and other masterpieces like that. So this is a woman that I knew had a lot of taste and a lot of class. And I was amazed today when this came out apparently just a few hours ago. Mr. Brown sent this to my attention. I want to thank Mr. Brown for that. Marcia Lucas apparently speaking out about Kathleen Kennedy and about Disney Star Wars, folks. And this is what it was tweeted out that she said. I like Kathleen. I always liked her, says Marcia Lucas. She was full of beans. She was really smart and really bright, really wonderful woman, and I liked her husband, Frank. I liked them a lot. Now that she's running Lucasfilm and making movies, it seems to me that Kathy Kennedy and J.J. Abrams don't have a clue about Star Wars. They don't get it. And J.J. Abrams is writing these stories. When I saw that movie where they kill Han Solo, I was furious. I was furious when they killed Han Solo. Absolutely, positively, there was no rhyme or reason to it. I thought, you don't get the Jedi story. You don't get the magic of Star Wars. You're getting rid of Han Solo? And then at the end of this last one, The Last Jedi, they have Luke disintegrate? They killed Han Solo. They killed Luke Skywalker, and they don't have Princess Leia anymore. And they're spitting out movies every year, and they think it's important to appeal to a woman's audience. So now their main character is this female who's supposed to have Jedi powers, but we don't know how she got Jedi powers or who she is. It sucks. The storylines are terrible, just terrible, awful. You can quote me, J.J. Abrams, Kathy Kennedy, talk to me. This was from Marcia Lucas. I had never seen this published before, but apparently she went ahead and gave this interview or was interviewed in some book or something at the end of Last Jedi, by the time Last Jedi had come out. So it was before the ruse of Soywoker when they made it even worse and they turned Palpatine into the winner of the entire thing by having his granddaughter or whatever steal Luke's lightsabers, steal Luke's land, steal Luke's sunset, and steal his last name. Oh my God, some truth from Marcia Lucas. And she has given voice in a very, very articulate way to all of us who have been saying the exact same thing for years. And so, with that said, I wanted to go ahead and see what you guys think of this. First of all, well, let's kick it to Kelvington. Kelvington, you've had a few a little longer to chew on this news since I shot it your way in preparation for the show. What do you think of what Marcia Lucas said?
Well, you know, the phrase "full of beans," I never thought that was anything but a pejorative. I had only ever heard somebody's full of beans like when they're full of shit. So I thought that was an interesting choice of term. And you know, Marcia Lucas has the highest level echelon in my world is that she saved Star Wars. Her and Paul Hirsch and Richard Chew saved the Star Wars film because in George's original cut, it was done like a documentary. And those three, particularly Marcia, came in and saved that motion picture by adding the extra bit of the Death Star coming towards the rebels, because that didn't exist in Lucas's cut. They were just out in the middle of space and they blew up the Death Star. She gave them some reason to blow it up, essentially. And that's all done in post. There's no actor, no character on the screen ever that says the Death Star is nearby. None. It's all done with graphics and voiceover work. So like she's a god in my world. And she took something that could have been an okay B science fiction film and elevated it. So her telling the truth, because there's nothing you can do to hurt her at this point. She's divorced from Lucas. She has half his money. You can't hurt her. She's going to say the truth. There's no reason for her not to. You can't shut her up. So I think it sounds very much like the kind of thing somebody who was disenchanted would say. And I love how it's said.
I love it too. When I saw that, I felt like cheering. Mexican Iron Man, any thoughts on Marcia Lucas's wise words?
If ever there was a day of redemption, you know what? This is a great Sunday because let me tell you this. This is, it's what Kelvington said. We owe her a debt of thanks, and we now, in this day, with this news and with this information, which has been printed, and she said, quote me, take it on the record, this is the kind of validation that we need. So often, Hollywood has taken us backseat, and they sit here, and they're just throwing rocks at us, and telling us that we're wrong, and telling us we're is, and telling us that we're crazy, and trying to shove this mediocre to poor quality crap down our throats. And here is someone with authenticity, with insider knowledge, with integrity, and with clarity, speaks truth to us. This is what we need. This is what I've been waiting for, and it means the world to me. This is fantastic.
It is absolutely fantastic. I was delighted. You tried to get my attention, Kelvington. What's going on? Yes,
while we were on the air, I've been looking for this quote, and I have found it. It is in a book called A Producer's Life by J.W. Rinzler. It's about Howard Kazmajani, and it was published this year. And I actually found the book online and found the quote in the book. So it actually comes from a legitimately sourced item that is coming out or is already out this year.
Fantastic. He is the gentleman that did the great making of Star Wars, making of Empire Strikes Back, those series of books, really some of those in-depth reporting on the making of these classics. Rinzler is a master. And boy, he got the goods here and it just got published. That's fantastic. Tom, dude, what do you think of this? Well done, Kathleen, Marcia Lucas.
Well, anybody who knows me knows I have this very strange kind of love-hate relationship with George Lucas, and I am somebody who's always quick to point out that Marcia is the one who deserves a lot of the credit, and he tried to take that away from her in a lot of ways. And the fact that she said this, considering the shit that man has put her through, and I'm not saying that she's innocent. They were in a marriage. Marriage takes two parties, right? But afterwards, George has done everything he can to blacklist that woman. He has tried to remove her from the Star Wars legacy. That's kind of the big reason people say he's so hung up on the special editions, but that's a whole nother conversation. So for her to come out and say this about him and the legacy that's there says a lot to me personally, I think. And I don't even know if she's even talking about The Last Jedi here. I think this is just right after seeing The Force Awakens. Honestly, I doubt
it was actually she did mention The Last Jedi.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. So sorry about that.
In the quote. So but she had not seen Rusev Soywoker yet, where the Skywalker saga became the Palpatine saga because Palpatine wins. His heir inherits everything that Luke Skywalker had, and he got his aim, which was you got to kill me. So she does, and then he gets what he wanted. And I wouldn't be surprised if his Katra or his force or spirit was inside Rey, even as she was looking at that sunset. I expected her eyes to turn yellow. And I think somebody does need to do an ending of the Rusev Soywoker where her eyes do indeed turn yellow like Palpatine's, because that would be perfect. And the perfect capstone on Kathleen Kennedy's supreme towering achievement of making the villain the fucking hero on this thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And there is the quote right there.
I love that. You can quote me. J.J. Abrams, Kathy Kennedy, talk to me. Wow. She is just throwing down some. No, Marcia, I've always thought she was a ballsy woman. I've heard lots of stories about her. She was a person who never was afraid to tell George what she thought. She has called him a cold fish on multiple occasions. I mean, she has said he doesn't understand human beings.
Well, they now, they have, they were married and it was.
That's what I'm saying. So for her to come out and say this kind of thing and kind of defend, like, this says a lot. You know what I mean? Like, this carries a lot of fucking weight. I mean, this is the divorced wife coming out in defense of her ex-husband. It is exactly that in a way. That is insane. Like, to me, she is outside of her legacy, which she gives a shit about at this point. Because, like I said, she has walked away from it all. She has not been a part of Hollywood in many years. This is the first interview that I've known of her, and I don't know how long. Somebody please in the chat tell me, because as far as I know, she has been out of the public spotlight for like over 20 years or better, even more than that.
Yeah, this is an amazing quote from a woman. Let me tell you something about Marcia Lucas. She edited Taxi Driver, okay? And that is an editor's movie. That is a masterpiece. Kelvington, you're an editor. So, I think that's the basis of the enormous amount of respect that you have for Marcia Lucas.
Oh, absolutely. Because she took a film that was going to be an okay B movie, and they spent a lot of money on, and turned it into one of the most classical films of all time that still holds up, even without the special editions, to this day. And it's because of her and two other editors that this film, exists. I can't say like this film made me go and become an editor, because I was already kind of starting down that road a little bit, but she certainly influenced me. And what she did in Taxi Driver is another film that is exceptional, that you can't hardly beat.
You really can't. Gary, you have any thoughts about Marcia Lucas and her what she expressed regarding these horrible movies?
I do. First off, if Star Wars meant anything to anyone, it would have been her. And another thing is, we're actually really lucky that she has the ability to give us this quote, because she's probably not under Disney contract in order to, she's not under a chokehold to talk trash about a movie that sucks. And what I find interesting about it too is that it was, I guess it was, she probably made this quote right after she had seen The Last Jedi, which is when I, discovered that there was something wrong, and which is when everybody else pretty much discovered, there's something wrong with this franchise now. I find that very interesting. Look at what Mark Hamill, he had to say great things about a movie that he hated, and he couldn't say what he really thought about it. Marcia can tell us the truth. And, I'm not going to badmouth George Lucas, but I do have buddies that were on Howard the Duck and the Ewok movies, and they felt his wrath. And, I would side with Marcia over George any day, but we're actually really lucky we get to see this quote. It's honest.
I know. This just came out. I mean, this is absolutely, God, it just feels like a weight off my shoulders. I think I don't know. I probably speak for most of you guys that, I mean, for years and years, we have been saying this stuff, and we have been labeled as, oh, you just don't like strong women, and you don't like this, and you don't like that. Marcia Lucas is a strong woman. Yeah. Marcia Lucas was a partner in the creation of Star Wars, which George Lucas does not like to talk about. And I understand why it's emotional for him, but by God, this is a woman who knows shit from Shinola. This is a woman that could sniff out the bullshit and hated that they killed Han Solo, hated that they killed Luke Skywalker, and hated that they got rid of Princess Leia. This is spot on what we have been saying for years. Thank God somebody stepped up and spoke those words, even though it was years ago, apparently, before we've actually gotten to see this quote in this book, which is not a barn blazer of a title. I mean, what is it called, Covington? The producer's
journey.
The producer's journey. Who the fuck's going to buy that book? Other than people who, I don't know, want to get into producing or something. I would have looked at it on a shelf and I would have just passed by it. And yet there was this gem lurking in there. Unbelievable. Mexican Iron Man, you were about to say something.
I was just going to say, I reacted raw and maybe a little overreacted, but I think you described it. It's exactly what you said. It's that weight lifting off shoulders, because this isn't just George's ex-wife. She had her own career, and like she had a real career in a real meaningful way and did meaningful work. I've never had any respect for KK. I've never, good God. I mean, I'm not even if you put me behind Spielberg back in the day, I could have been an amazing exec producer. Any one of us, probably half of, if not almost everybody in this chat stream could have. I mean, seriously. Hi, I'm looking for money. I need some checks for the next Spielberg movie. Okay, let me get your check. Let me get your check. Let me get your check. Let me get back in the car. Let me drive back to the studio. Let me make some coffee. Here's Steven. Here's some checks. Okay, what do you need me to do now? Oh, we're out of coffee? Okay, hold on. Let me go get some more coffee.
Holy crap, man.
This is great. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job. This is why this show exists, for stuff like this. This is great.
Guaranteed the mouse didn't want that.
Sending that. Go ahead, Gary. What was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, guaranteed the mouse did not want that quote to come out. There's no way. That's why we didn't see it until now. Because now it doesn't really matter, not to them,
Yeah, no, they don't care. But I tell you what, we care. The fans care. And what a friend we have in Marcia Lucas. I've always admired her. And, it's going to be hard for them to dismiss her as an istinophobe, because she is indeed the very kind of strong woman that they purportedly like to admire and promote. It's just exposing them as the frauds that they were all along, and it is exposing us as torchbearers, as prophets, as people that know what real Star Wars is, vindicated by Marcia Lucas. So thank you, Marcia Lucas, for speaking the truth. Thank you, J.W. Rinzler, for getting that interview. I cannot believe it flew under the radar for this long, but I am absolutely delighted to be able to bring you this news today on Pop Culture Breakdown.